Hi, old beaver! Away!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Critscast. We have more action for you today. It is, of course, Season 20 of ETF2L Highlander. We have another Premiership game for you as we've entered Week 2. Upward is in the past, and now we are on the DM maps. Of course, it is Gullywash and Product. A 5 CP map and a King of the Hill map. We have two teams who had differing fortunes in Week 1. In one corner, we have Feila eSports, former runners-up 5 times, no less. However, they did succumb to a 6-0 defeat to SCCK in their first match of the season. On the other side of the coin, we have Kiti S Bakenbardami, who did win their first game 6-0 and sit themselves in the top half of the table. Both these teams will be looking to pick up some points here. I'm CeeJaey and I'm joined by extrasolar with ArchRhythm on the production. extrasolar, we are about to go live. We can run down the rosters. Oh no, we're not going live. I've baited you.
Well,
But is this going to be a close game?
well, I think we're still in early days of the season. We haven't had time for the dust to settle really from the first week. I mean, playoffs are still very much in contention for a lot of these teams. But I think Feila might just have the edge on Product, but Gullywash, I think the Russians may be stronger. So I'm not putting any predictions either way, but I think it'll be a close one.
Like I said, we have entered right into the action. We have Feila eSports in the red and Kitty in the blue. We'll go over the players that are playing a little bit later on. No kills just yet, but there we go. Joe, the demo is down very early on to Fuzzy. Gets a nice headshot. Lots of frags going the way of the Russians. They've only lost Citrus, their engineer, for all of that. Boshi is in behind. The legendary jumper manages to get a kill onto Roboprod and gets taken down by Middle, retreating with his medic, trying to keep her alive. But only 3 left alive for Feila. That was a comprehensive win on that mid fight for the Russians there.
Oh yeah, I mean, low living at the end, that means that it was all people going into last, but with Joe getting picked off early, it just meant that the spearhead of the Feila's push across the point just failed completely. They are trying to make their way up river now. Now the spy of Porter is dead, so there's no funny backcaps coming in now. But they decided just to come back here since Kitty do have a lot of river control up here. Just playing safe and staying on last.
And now well, the map's changed now, guys. I'm sorry, it's no longer CP Gullywash, it's now CP Big Door. Actually, no, it's more like CP River because the Russians are trying to get Fuzzy into River, then Karpi is going to get the kill onto him. Joe peeking in through lobby to try and get a kill and gets taken down. And Karpi's just got backstabbed there by Porter, so they've lost their sniper and their demo. I'm not sure what that play was from Joe. Trying to maybe go for a force there, but maybe not wanting to sacrifice your demo for that.
Oh, yeah, demo on last point guard is absolutely crucial. You haven't got that spam onto the point, it's very easy to push in. I don't think Kitty will push off this though, just because again it is still 0-0, and they did lose their heavy of GDJ there. So I think they'll be content to just sit and wait this out, maybe get a bigger pick than just Demo Man, as Feila are trying to edge further back into lobby again, slowly.
Yeah, of course, for those of you who are slightly new to Highlander perhaps, Gullywash, one of the few 5 CP maps that's actually consistently played in Highlander, and the issue is because you have so many players on each team, it can be quite difficult to push in based off of a pick or two. So something like a demo pick may be enough of a catalyst to push in a sixes game, but when both Ubers are in play, you need a little bit more to work with in order to get some space onto last. And the Russians here are holding in the area we like to call Big Door, just getting themselves set up, waiting for those players like the Spy, like the Soldier, to maybe get a pick. And it does look like Feila want to push out. They're in lobby right now, moving all of their chess pieces into position. Roboprod is going to get headshot by Fuzzy, and I think that's going to prompt them to maybe back off a little bit, but no. Joe looks like he wants to hold forward in lobby.
Yeah, Joe's been holding forward here for like the last 30 seconds. There was like a brief period there where he was just completely alone, and he didn't, like, his scout and his pyro were just nowhere to be seen around him, so he could have been a really easy pick there. I think this is just something that's very somewhat overlooked sometimes by teams that play against Feila, in that they put their demo like usually very aggressive in Joe, because he's got the DM, he's got the heals a lot of the time. But one like pretty simple way a lot of teams try and deal with the Feila aggression, simple in theory at least, is they try and kill the player who's spearheading the push, and then their heals are too forward, and then the medic can die. But again, with the Uber in play, it's a lot harder to do that, so I don't think Kitty are looking to quite do any funny plays onto Joe yet.
Do hear the sound of a banner going off there, and wondering If Boshi's actually going to do something, it's a buff banner. Robopro goes in for the force, but gets taken down by those mini crit bullets. No force onto Pahan, who's nice and safe. And that's something that maybe caught Robopro by a little by surprise there. Just dropping down, going for a force, and then, you know, mini crits in your face. Maybe not what Boshi wanted to use it for, but, you know, just getting it done there to make sure his medic doesn't use that Uber. Spy is going to go down for Kitty, but it is this situation where it's all about getting that precise pick, that precise kill that will open the door. And it's very, very difficult to push out onto here, but it does look like RoboProd and Carpi have got themselves on top of the point, as has Dreamy. So they're actually capping the point here with a sniper. He is on fire. Can't really aim as well when you're on fire, but it does look like Feila have managed to push out here and get the cap.
Yeah, Ubers actually both get exchanged here in the lower area. We currently have the pilot just running straight into Joe, where it cleaned up on Pahan's all alone here, walking out of Big Door. His players are just regrouping. I mean, no, he said it isn't quite CP Big Door, maybe it's just CP Big Door 0.5 here, as Feila's push has been just out of last, has just been snuffed out, and the recap's happening for Kitty. But Middle actually going in, he gets 2 on his own, 3 actually. Robopod getting Boshi as well. Pahan has survived, but it's a complete car crash really for both teams in the end, but the spawners will come in for Feila. So it's looking like they might be able to just hold on to second here. Maybe even push mid.
We actually see Lily up top there with the level 3 sentry in River. Not allowing any sort of flanks, and it actually prompts Fuzzy to back off. Fuzzy was in a position to maybe just, you know, keep them on edge there. But actually it does look like Feila have a bit of an Uber advantage here, about 30-35%. GDJ also going down, so no heavy. That's a lot of HP off the battlefield. So you can see passive positions here. Pahan only at 70%. Fuzzy goes down to Carpi. And now Feila are starting to make their way into mid. And it doesn't look like the Russians are going to be able to hold on to this. They do not have the presence. And they do not have an Uber to contend with. Porter does not get the stab either. And with that level 3 as well, it's going to be very hard for Kitty to even get some position on mid here.
Yeah, they slowly got that advantage back up, so they can still hold the choke. It was very smart for them to just play back till they got that Uber. But once their sniper was there, there wasn't really any hope of them contesting the middle point there, but that sightline to work in. And it's just, again, we might be going into stalemate. But I think Feila are looking like they want to try and maybe bust choke here.
Yeah, they might want to bust on through. No sniper, and they are going to go for the exchange. Pahan does pop his Uber, keeping his players alive, flashing a lot. T-Borden gets the remainder of the Feila flash there, just to maybe, you know, push people away, give themselves some position, but they don't. It is going to be Plux on that choke, just throwing down the stickies and making sure no one's going to walk in for free. But Carpi has been racking up a few kills here. Fuzzy started off the game very well, but Carpi's starting to come into his own. And it does look like Feila want to be the more aggressive of the two teams.
Yeah, they've lost the heavy there. As soon as the trade went poorly for Feila, they just put their sniper in choke and watched that sightline just basically forever. Fuzzy is still on top of the second point, just trying to lock down this choke. But look how Middle's positioning. He's just in. Like, he's getting bowed, and he's just in. He's forcing out. It's 4 down for Kitty now.
Yeah, they just get kills. Sketis went down and Citrus went down, and just of pure bodies alone, they were able to just bust in through choke, and that's something that rarely happens. Yin manages to get the kill onto Fuzzy, so he's gone down again. He's been focused very hard.
Yeah, I was about to do like the big analysis, like, oh, Fuzzy was down, Feila could have pushed Big Door, and okay, Carpi just interrupted me there, he just drops Pahan, and now he was coming in for Feila. The Pirate's doing his best to try and just stuff it into River, but Borden's on the point here, buzzing everybody off, and it will be the first round to Feila. You know, just as I'm criticising them, like, not going Big Door when the sniper's dead, they just bust choke and win off it.
Yeah, I mean, the drop onto Pahan there is crucial. They give so much space to Carpi in River that he's able to get that headshot onto the medic, takes him down, and because of that, it's easy, just Uber in, clean up the kills and focus the point. And they've gone coast to coast there. Very fast rollout from Boshi, as we know he's capable of, but actually forces Joe out, so Joe really doesn't have much space, but I'm not sure if they're going to... Yeah, I don't know if Kitty are making advantage of this or not.
It's given Fuzzy a bit of space to work with. Plux actually has gone down to middle there. I think he just walked straight across and just kills the Demo Man. So despite, like, it must be awful to play against that rollout of Demo Man because you just know that you just can't play choke for those first few seconds. But again, okay, that'll be the end of the mid fight there, probably. I mean, Pahan has gone down to Carpi from a shot for a choke. The soldier has come in. Boshi gets reflected into the wall though and just eliminated from the server. Back into the respawn queue for him. Fuzz has got a pick onto Joe, So it might slow down their push into last here, see if maybe they can try and at least get some presence on top before they back out to last. That's what they're doing here, trying to catch Robopod out. He's so weak, surely he'll die. Yeah, he will die to Porter in the end. So they're just getting these picks, slowing down this push into last from Feila. They don't want to stay in too long though, because then Carpi will get onto Rock and take down Pluxer, and his Heavy will die as well. So what was initially quite a good stalling play, getting some picks to delay the last push, has lost them their Demo and their Heavy, two really big classes for the last point.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, and they have a huge Uber advantage here, Feila. They should be able to just walk in here, and the fact that there's no Demo or Heavy on the battlefield either is going to be a big deal for them. They might lose Boshi on the balcony. He's on fire, but does survive. Uber's used in through River. Fuzzy goes down again. He's just being focused so hard here. Skett is trying to push people off the point, and actually Feila are losing a lot of players. Middle and Layla are underneath the point, but I'm not sure if they're going to get out alive here. Joe is joining them. They might go for another point play here. Pahan's very weak. A lot of damage goes down onto the point. Big reflect there from Skettis. Takes down Middle and Layla. Joe getting the rest of his combo killed with one pipe. And Skettis adding a couple of kills to his logs. Pahan 100% here, extrasolar. They're going to surely walk out.
Yeah, that's just an opportunity really gifted to Kitty here. I mean, they had everything going for them for a moment there, Feila did, but they lost their Pyro. So Joe sticked off the point to keep people from just contesting the Pyro, but they'd already lost him. So there was no one to just airball people off a point, and of course they were uber charged on the points, and you can't really cap when you're invulnerable. And that basically allowed Kitty just to stall for time, force people into water, and then just clean up frags afterwards. And right now they're looking quite strong with this huge Uber coming into middle. Fuzz has taken a headshot from Carpi though. He's dodging and juking. He has headshot him back and does take the body shot on his choke. So that will be the end of the presence there. But Pan has been forced. This is a really bad Uber from Kitty.
Yeah, they were just not in a good position to actually do anything there. Skettis, Bosch, and Lightclaw, three players you might want to use to take ground, were so weak. And GDJ was just taking headshot after headshot, was just getting tanked. Fuzzy, though, does get a kill onto middle. So that is a Heavy out of the equation. Feila do have an Uber, which I imagine they're going to want to use here, and Kitty are extremely close. Skettis is going to have a lot of work on his hands if they're going to try to deny this choke, as Joe does come in. Skettis is there, trying to push them back, does a great job of just denying them, costs them his life, but most of the Uber is wasted just trying to get through that choke. And I do think Bahan is going to escape with his team.
Yeah, questionable positioning I think there from the Heavy, just staying in big door there when they already lost their Pyro to delay the fight, but I think that's actually strangely almost like him feeding has prompted Joe to walk forward and just into a bunch of spam. But the frags are slowly just going back and forth here on the middle, and that means that there's not enough players left to contest mid from Kitty, even though they got a super advantage.
Yeah, there is no demo on the side of Feila. The soldiers are fighting in choke. There's an MGE for just a... Oh no! No advantage! Backstab onto Bahan. And was that quite a drop? I didn't see. It must have been close.
If it wasn't a drop, I think we're going to count it basically as one. I mean, if you're using the margin of error, that's like 10%, and look at that. Feila just coming in like right away here through choke on force. They've got nothing to contest, no sniper, no heals, no pyro. Nothing to deny, just anyone walking in at this point.
Yeah, they're taking the ground. They don't even have the Uber yet. But they are swarming over second. Dreamy and Lily all over the point to be joined by Joe to try and get that cap down. And again, we're in a repeat of the situation we saw not, 2 minutes ago. Yeah. Taking an Uber into last against a non-Uber, Pan only at 50%.
Yeah, and Uber comes in from Feila right away. Poking down these targets. The Heavy is hiding here. We're taking down the sniper and got Joe really weak and gets focused down by the Wrangler in the end. But I'm not sure it'll be enough. Kitty are falling here rapidly to the remaining players on the side of Feila, and they will just rush the point in the end there, focusing down those targets. Just too many players in the mix, and the Uber was just enough to push that point.
Yeah, it was a big play by GDJ there just to kind of hide, and he took down Carpi, but no one else really went down. He was melted fairly quickly, and there was a sentry, but in the end, too many people coming from different angles diverts your attention, and in the end, it was, Feila taking the second round of this
first actually opting drop down this mid, and he gets Joe. just
speedy.
He just goes for a drop down. I think Joe was expecting to just high bomb the choke, but the soldier wasn't here, I'm actually safe, and he just goes for a drop down and like one shots him. Unfortunately, look at the positioning from Kitty. They're already on Feila's choke. No demo to worry about anything, just stand here for basically free. Only this mini contesting them in big door with Carpi.
Yeah, RoboPro's actually jumped in behind. He does actually get out as well. Feila deciding to hold in big door. I don't know whether they want to push there. CeeJaey goes towards them and sees the amount of players. I mean, if I was Kiti right now, I'd just be walking in through choke, which is what Sketties and Lightclaw are doing. They've just been given choke for free, which is such an easy place to hold with the spam. But no, Kiti are swarming in now. They've taken down Roboprod, no force on Bahan. There's Ubers on both sides, but
they're walking straight in here. They're going to go for the trade here, Feila. I'm not sure if I agree with this thing. Okay, Pan will use the Uber to save his players in choke there. I think maybe it's Joe just hitting million sticks, but again, he can't jump out in time. Boshy Warders choose to kill him in the end, and both snipers are down, and Lightclaw's killing the scout on the medic. So it's fairly equal in terms of frags, but I just think the better players are up for. Better classes are up, sorry, for the side of Kitty. Just this spam, and Roropod tries to jump in, see if he can cause anything, but will die. It's only really this Pyro on the point of Leda, and Leda is very not safe here. She's getting spammed down by this Wrangler. Runs to middle, trying to get maybe a sandwich or something. There's a really slow and just a cagey, awkward fight going on here with CeeJaey.
Yeah, no one's really committing. There are individuals who are trying to commit. Lightclaw, for example, he does get onto a 5k now, taking down Lily. And it just looks like Feila are stuck in this corner. Carpi managed to get a kill. Joe is, what, 6 HP? It's just, I feel like if Kitty had just put the pedal to the metal and, you know, walked forward, they actually get the force. Bahan's only 95.
Yeah, during this fight, both teams have managed to get Uber. Like, since that trade, they've just been sat on second for like a minute straight. And this Uber's getting snuffed out through a choke, and there's no fuzz from Big Door putting pressure. This guy comes in, he launches Joe across the map, basically. And he's very weak in Big Door, but he will just retreat to his heavy. Middle there getting a 3k in the process. And looks like Feila are just trying to stabilize on this choke here.
Yeah, Middle gets 3 kills there. Everyone was just kind of juggled forward, and Middle just denies them all. They were all fairly weak, but just gets the finishing kills. And it's enough to allow Feila to push onto mid here. Fuzzy will surely die, but so does Layla. She gets backstabbed there by Porter. So Kitty now with a huge advantage. Layla in the spawn queue for another 5 seconds or so. And without her, it may be difficult for Feila to hold mid, but they want to push second here, extrasolar. They just want to go forward and maybe even get like a force or a med kill.
Yeah, I know that the Ubers aren't in play and their heals are on top, so they can try and kill people that are on low ground. But everyone apart from Heavy has crossed to the high ground now, so it'll be quite difficult for them. But they are just trying to walk Joe, and he's so very weak, we'll go down in the end. And surely this is the end of the push attempt from Feila, but they have got their heals in. And look, they're getting these frags on the flank.
Yeah, they're getting the kills, and they've got a solo Uber here onto Pluxer, but T-Borden's there to try and deny. Does actually get the kill onto the Pyro. Dreamy is lurking around as well. I think Skettis is aware. He goes in and he's going to get taken down by the Sentry. Was trying to hide, and so does the Spy, gets caught out as well. So they got some kills there. Feila do have an Uber advantage, but there are a few players down, and they don't actually have an Uber to play with. And then he gets headshot!
Oh, it's a beautiful shot from Fuzz, right from Big Door, just straight into Layla. Nothing to do about it. Carby's on the floor on fire, he can't do much at the moment. He's and Fuzzy gets Joe as well, and that will be the cue for Feila just to leave mid with their tails between their legs. I really like what Kitty are actually doing. Like whenever their spies up, they'll from an outside perspective, it sort of looks like people are just feeding. Like you saw previously, the Heavy just sat in choke and just basically like got shot with everybody, and then Fuzzkey just like stood in Big Door, like on his own basically. But I think like they're just making people look at the people that are in front when their spies in behind, because it's like, oh, there's a sniper in front, he might hit a hero shot, we got to go and kill him. Oh, there's a Heavy, he has to be focused, and then the spy just comes in. So they're basically giving their spy just like 2 chances for a good stab. When not really feeding, you know, too much for it. I mean, you trade any class for a medic frag in those situations.
Yeah, and there's a body shot there from Carp. He took down Bahan, so he's been removed from the equation. And at the moment, it just seems that the snipers and the spies are getting the med picks, and it's turning the tide of the game. You know, the points are being traded back and forth, and just as I say it, Fuzzy with another med pick. It's a headshot onto Layla. And again, these snipers are just getting the med picks, and everyone else is just having a free-for-all, and then the snipers are like, alright, you know what, I'm going to do the job and take down the medic.
No,
just
right
as
there,
Bahan respawns.
It is just bespoke snipers getting headshots basically at the same time as each other in the kill feed. And Fuzzy will actually take down Carpy, so nothing in the kill feed for Carpy for a while now. He's in the respawn queue, and Fuzzy's on a 4k now, takes down Dreamy as well. So currently the pick classes of Kitty really doing all the work. Fuzzy's on a 5k, takes down Joe. What's going on, CeeJaey?
You give this man a chance, and he will just continue to kill. You know, he had people lining up at Copenhagen Games earlier in the year just to watch him play live, just hitting the shots over and over. Definitely one of the best snipers around, and he's showing it today. And Carpi, who had a huge game against SCCK in week 1, also showing his mettle as well. Pluxa there actually takes down Joe, so he's probably going to die for it. No, gets a little bit of HP from that. Oh no, T-Borden with the reflect onto Fuzzy. His kill streak is over. And Bahan, no! He gets airshot by Roboprod and dropped.
Oh, that's just tragic. Like, I think the entire situation, like, yeah, all the meds just keep dying on both teams, but I was saying that, yeah, maybe the situation favors Feila right now with the meds all dying and being chaotic because they are 2 rounds up. But I just thought that eventually, like, one of these teams is just gonna feed too much, basically, and just get rolled into last. That might just happen here, with no Uber coming up for the side of Kitty. Feila have lost car piece. Maybe their push have been slowed down a little bit. I'm just thinking, like maybe at some point one of these med picks is actually going to turn into just a complete, like, second-to-second roll and just end the round for them. And if Feila
get for a while now.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if Feila get the 3-0 here, that gives Kitty 10 minutes to just get 3 rounds just for over the golden cap on this map, and that'll be 3 points gone right away. Before just half an hour into the second week of Premiership. So
yeah,
and that has got big playoff implications. I think both teams are really just hungry for these points right now. But I think Feila don't really care too much if their med dies, if they're 2 rounds up, because they can just go and like have a pick class go on to Pahan as well. So it's just a case of everyone's just kind of feeding their logs right now in the half dead time. But Fuzzy's just got on a free K as I was saying that, so he's still popping off. And I think maybe he'll break this eventually if he's allowed to keep roaming around, finally getting down by T-Borden.
Looks like they're going to go an Uber in through main here, but they've taken so long that Pahan does have his Uber as well. I'm not sure if that's caught them out here. They're going to go for the point. T-Borden does get taken down by Boshi. Lela gets wrangled to death by Citrus. Joe is still in here fighting a 1v1 with Joe. Lightclaw takes him down. And yeah, they took so long there.
Yeah.
And when we consider how long ago we saw that airshot drop onto Pahan, that Pahan's just built up another Uber, and then Feila walk in, flash about 5 people, and then they're sort of surprised that they face an Uber.
Yeah, that's just the second time that's happened now. When Feila will just like go in, expect themselves to have ad, and the entry's just behind Fuzzy. Oh, Lilypad unfortunately will miss a few shots onto the sniper there, and we'll just get instantly turned around in quick scope. I think Fuzz wasn't too pleased about taking a meat shot in the back in that situation, and again that will be just another little fight and choke here. I mean, Pahan has got the ad, but his players are in no position to really walk in yet. He's waiting for his respawners to come in, and they are going to choose just to slow Pete choke here. They have got the threat of Carpi watching it, so I think it's maybe slowing them down a little bit.
Yeah, and again, they're doing the same mistake Feila did earlier. Yeah. A really, really long time waiting where they had this Uber advantage and they're not really using it. And they're just trying to... Fuzzy going drop down, maybe going for a cheeky angle. Is this going to be like a Starkey play?
Oh, he's been found out, sadly. I think it's just, like... Kitty really have to do something to force the issue here. Like, we're down to below 8 minutes and they need at least 2 rounds in that time. They take the trade into choke, and Joe has actually fallen down, dropped down. But they flashed so many people that the Uber's not gone anywhere for Kitty. Carpi gets the heavy, the spy gets, Agi gets Boshi as well, the soldier. And now Failure's going to try and walk through choke. Joe is so incredibly weak though. He can just get focus here, but no, Middle's here to save the day and just push all of Kitty out of choke. As long as these fights just keep happening for Feila and they can keep hold of second, then they're going to win. Like, there's no way. It's like they're just going to win this map. Like, Kitty have to just try and just do something and force Feila out of choke and just get in onto their side of the map just to get this round.
Doesn't seem to be any urgency from Kitty in that situation though. I mean, when you're 2 rounds down, knowing how long it can take to get around on the board in Highlander in 5CP, when you've got that advantage of about 50%, you should be moving. I haven't seen any Lightclaw Ubers yet. I've not seen any kind of sort of, Feila were quite happy despite being 2 rounds up to just go for the exchange and then re-push just based off 1 pick. And at the moment, Kitty don't really seem to have a response to that push through choke, where they go for the exchange, get the Ubers out of the equation, and then just re-push and just bust through choke with a lot of players. And Kitty not really feeling comfortable in doing the same, waiting for the Uber advantages, which aren't really coming. And, with the time on the clock at the moment, just over 6.5 minutes, it's going to be tight for them to even get around on the board. I mean, they need 2 rounds to take it to a golden cap at least.
I think it feels like they're waiting for the Joe pick a lot of the time, and speaking of the devil, he actually pipe Porter and kills off with his pipes. But I think with Joe being the main caller, they're really focused on trying to take him down. But the way that Feila will play is that they'll put Joe in really aggressively, and he'll take all of the focus, and then middle just walks in with full health, just being tanked. And it's very difficult to deal with that. If it's taking too long to kill Joe, like more than like 2 seconds, they will just walk their entire team through choke. And Kitty just haven't got a response to it. Py-bun has actually been forced, and I think maybe this might be a little bit of a bait play from Feila here. But I don't think they're really in position. They lost Joe here from the choke. They baited the Uber out of Kitty, and they kept their Uber, but no Joe. I don't think they're going to push through choke. But I think they'd be happy with that, considering the time is just slowly ticking away bit by bit.
Yeah, that's what they really need to do, is just wait for the time to tick away. And now they have an Uber advantage. It's kind of like, well, we'll just wait, and you guys still need to do something. Fuzzy goes down to Dreamy there.
You think every advantage, that's going to be like another, unless you get dropped, it's another 40 seconds of game time just gone instantly. And Pluxer gets launched to the moon eventually there, and actually will surely go down to Joe here. He's got 3 real players on him, and he goes down on the rock. Joe actually does hit the air pipe with about 10 HP there, so that will count as an air shot on the logs, I believe. As the Uber, like this is not the time where you really want to be forcing the issue that much. I mean, I know they got forced, but with 3 people alive and 2 of those are in your Uber and the other one's your sniper, I don't really think you're going to be able to get too much done. And there's no Uber in the equation just yet for Feila, but this is quite a large ad for them going into last. And if they wanted, they could just sit on big door forever now and just win.
Yeah, they can just squeeze some more time out. They don't have to rush and fail the push. They can wait till they've got the charge, wait till they've got all of their players, and then try to go for a push there. Or they could just wait. It's up to Kitty to get something done. They are 2 rounds down. And like you said, if they don't get some rounds on the board and equalize this up, that's 3 points. It's 3 points per map, and it does look like Feila want to go for the Uber straight away through River. Sketis denies them a little bit, but gets mulched. Dreamy's on the point now. Bluxer's actually hiding in water, but gets taken down. A lot of players going down. It is going to be 3-0.
Yeah,
4 minutes and 10 seconds.
I mean, it's technically possible if you like. You just wipe them every mid-fight and then just wipe them at each last. But you need literally 3 perfect rounds of like maybe a combined 5 deaths from everyone on your team. I don't think this is Kitty's map. Maybe we could just see a consolation round just to keep spirits up. But again, their mid-fights are looking really strong, like in the second round. But they aren't able to convert these mid-fights into just favourable second and last pushes at the moment, and it's really cost them this map.
It has, and you consider that first mid-fight that we saw, they did get 6 kills to a return of 1 death, and they pushed them all the way to last, but they just couldn't get anything done. And it does look pretty good for them on this mid-fight so far. Like you said, maybe a consolation round is in the works, because even now with just over 3 minutes, you're going to need wipes in order to actually lightning round it all the way. And Feila are playing quite passive here. They don't want to risk losing their medic or losing any important players that will cost them a potential round. But it is interesting how it did look like Kitty were in control at the start of the game, and then Feila just started pressing that W key and walking forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, if you have like the way that Feila will play the game is, as like I said, they'll just put Joe in and they'll sit everybody else with full buffs and choke, and then Joe will just like bait out a load of spam. I don't know how he like manages to live for so long, like just dodging everything, and then they just walk people in, and Joe somehow just, even if he dies during that, which has admittedly been quite rare actually, like he always just lives on 60 health. Even if he dies, they've still got just like their entire team there, and Joe's done 1 million damage to people. Like they're on like half health, and they've got like 5 or 6 people with full buffs walking in. So it's just it's a very difficult thing to deal with if you're not really just like focusing on what they're doing and focusing on the same target. Fuzz actually dies to rollers in in River there from the Iron Bomber. So they actually got people on the point, and yeah, okay, well, and that'll be around.
2 minutes, 2 rounds.
Yeah, TCM. Green.
Yeah, could happen. Yeah, I mean, just to go back to what you said before, like it's something I noticed as well with, they kind of go for these exchanges on Joe to put out loads of damage, and I do think the most important person actually in the combo at the moment is middle, because he's walking in with that 450 HP buff, and when you've got a heavy, who Boshi actually gets the kill onto Joe early on again, going for the same strat. Yeah, middle's just walking in and just being this powerhouse that's getting tanked with 450 HP, and basically what it means is that it's very hard for him to be taken down. And it just seems like that's the Feila strat, to get that exchange in through choke, bust, and make sure that middle has a lot of HP so that he can just clean everybody up.
Yeah, I think on Gully Wash as well, it's much harder to catch out Layla when they're doing that, because like normally, you know, I know that you can just sit back and heal the rest of your team once you've buffed Joe and moved him in, but in order to get Joe into that position, you have to just keep Layla forward. And on other maps where it's not quite as, you know, the transitions aren't quite as choky, it's somewhat easier to get a frag on Layla. But I think like their playstyle really lends itself to just the 5 CP format, because you can just put your down man through choke, and you can't chase that medic on the other team if they're in choke, because there's just a million people around her, and she's safe because she's in a choke point, and you can't do anything about it. So I think Kitty really have to, you know, if they want a shot at playoffs, I mean, it'll probably be maybe the competition for the third spot will be between Feila and Envision. Feila and Kitty. So, you know, if they want to improve against Feila, well, they'll just counter this combo-centric, this middle-centric strat, really, of just using Joe as a flat cannon in the middle as the tank.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point when you take a look at the table. Just seeing some fights going on last right now. I mean, it's moments like that where you do see, you know, you have the insane ability of a lot of the players. You know, Fuzzkey going on absolutely sprees. Lightclaw's been getting a lot of kills. Skettis has had some insane reflex, as T-Borden, to be fair, in the game. Boshi with these fast rollouts, that's catching out Joe a couple of times. They have the players, but it just didn't seem like they had that killer instinct in the exchanges, and that's where Feila won it. And if we're looking kind of in the long-term prospects of the season, you know, you take a look at STCK and Envision, the two teams that were, you know, top two of last season. A lot of people would expect Feila to be the ones to go for the playoffs, but I would say, you know, Kitty as the Div 1 winners, potentially looking at themselves with a lot of experience in this lineup, might be wanting to hit the playoffs too. And yeah, I mean, this is what you could call a 6-pointer. They need to get some points on product, otherwise that's a big hit to them.
Yeah, I mean, Kitty aren't exactly, you know, amateur Highlander players. Like, they've been together for a long time. You know, I think a lot of these people have been playing as long, if not longer, than a lot of Feila. You know, we had Wasp back in the day. You know, we had some really good Russian Highlander teams. That, you know, then we got Pahan just still playing Highlander after just a million years. I think that, like, Wasp was with Wiethoofd and such, like, wasn't it, with Boshi as well? So you know, these are players that have played together for a long time. Do you think maybe just the absence of crime from the classic crime Pahan combo is maybe just weakening their coordination a little bit? Because that seems to be what's killing them. Like they've got the individual skill. They've, like you said, they got the huge frag. I mean, Lightclaw's just one of the best scouts like the Highlander ever seen. Fuzz as well. I think he's won Sniper season before, isn't he? Like more than once.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely up there when you talk about like the great Russian players, like snipers. You know, we've had some great ones like Morg, for example, but Fuzz is definitely just huge. And you know, you talk about that experience. Yeah, these players have played. You know, I think they've won Div 1 twice now. I think, you know, they've been relegated a couple of times, and they've just won Div 1 and bounced straight back up again. And they've played in Premiership for a number of seasons, a lot of them together. And they've also been to LAN and competed at LAN. They finished third at Copenhagen Games this year. So they have a lot of experience, but you know, it's an interesting point. No crime and no poker, obviously playing for STCK now. Like I don't want to claim to know like how the combo works, who does the main calling and stuff like that. But I would imagine two players of that magnitude not being in your combo, that's probably quite a big loss. So I'm not sure how differently they operate now compared to, you know, the combo from earlier in 2019 and in past seasons. So it'd be interesting to see how that affects them on this map as well. I mean, looking at product, I mean, I guess we can take a look at the logs from Gullywash if we have them to hand. I imagine it's just going to be snipers though.
Oh yeah, just the snipers are absolutely insane in that game. It's just gonna be pick classes, I think, and I'm expecting middle to like hardly ever die either.
Yeah, Fuzzkey actually top frags with 31 kills. Carpy's actually a bit further behind on 22. So Carpy had a strong start, but it seemed Fuzzkey just had that consistency in the long term.
Right away, I mean, just looking at their playstyle, like you know what it is. I think out of all of the combat classes, middle is bottom deffing. He's going 29 to 10. and you know he's gotten 26% heals. He got more heals than Pluxer for Kitty. He got 3,000 more heals than his demo man. So if Kitty haven't got a response to this strategy on product, I know it's hard to do because it's, you know, again, it's a completely different game mode. It's Koth, but I know middle he'll get tanked either on Rock or Japan or just a stupid spot and do 1 million damage to people, and he'll just get tanked, and it's very difficult to kill him. I think they really want to try and just get Fuzz on middle just 100% of the time. Like whenever he peaks, just like have really good heavy calls, because I feel like as soon as middle dies, that entire strategy for Feila just collapses, because you know they haven't got that massive tank just to pump heals into. And again, like focusing Joe is getting Joe down much faster. It's something they really want to try and just get on, because you know, Joe is, again, like I know he's, you know, got much less heals than the heavy, but I think really the playmaker of the combo is going to be Joe. He's the one who's doing all the strats. He's the one who's main calling. He's the one walking forward doing the damage, ready for his heavy to walk in. You know, like it's a very well-oiled machine, the Feila combo with these pushes, but again, it's the Achilles heel is just getting that medic frag. If as they're preparing just to do that strat and walking in, but Kitty just aren't able to just collapse on that at all at the moment, and it's really like it has potential just to cost them this map as well.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It doesn't matter necessarily the amount of kills you get, as long as you get the right kills, and. Like you said, middle. This is something I noticed a couple of seasons ago when middle was playing heavy. He didn't die very much. He had these huge KDs, huge KAD, and it's just because he plays that style where he just almost babysits Layla to make sure nothing gets close to her. And then when it's time for his team to push, he's there tanking the heals, walks forward, and then just cleans house. I'm gonna have to see if that works, as Pluxer is actually much faster than Joe on the mid here, getting out some early stickies. It is going to be Kitty in the blue and Feila in the red. And looking as the spies do that awkward dance in the mid fight when they bump into each other, trying to cross the point. Doesn't quite work. And yeah, both heavies just doing what you said, just sitting on the cliff waiting for those jumpers.
Yeah, I mean the heavy on the cliff, this has happened like in the past few years. We just sort of had him just sitting there, just denying everything that tries to walk across, and the first fact that isn't the spy of the game will be Fuzzkey going down to Carpy, losing that SVS. And I think something that we didn't really mention before is that middle playing so close to his combo, I know it wasn't really very applicable on Gully Wash, but it's really good protection for Carpy when he's playing in pocket on this map especially. But look at that, right away, Pahan dies, and Kitty's response is just to the exactly correct response, just to walk forward and get as many people as they can. Actually take down Layla right at the end there through the flamethrower Ascetis. Really well played by Kitty.
What happened there was, like, it was exactly what you were saying was happening on Gully. You know, Joe walks forward, he doesn't care that he's taking a ton of damage, but he was able to throw some stickies out and take down Pahan. It costs him his life, and in the end everyone else starts dying around, but he got that med pick, so it makes you wonder, is it worth it to get that med pick but lose your demo and then consequently lose a lot of other people as well? Looks like Feila are going to recapture the point though. About 38 seconds chalked off for Kitty.
It's a strategy that works as long as your medic lives. But if you can't get your medic out at the end there, then you're just back to square one basically. I mean, they have got the cap in play, but Kitty did get the first cap as well, so they're looking to. They've actually been building really well. Feila have. Inglade's got a 20% advantage right now. I think she even spawned after Pahan as well, which is very interesting. Not sure what's going on whenever started Kitty's building. Maybe they will sack the Spencer or something, but they are just going to bully across the point and know that the Uber isn't in play yet. I don't think they realise that Leia's got his ad, but they're trying to jump her actually just to get a force out, or sorry, a drop. Yeah, I think
she takes like 10 damage.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. I think maybe just scared of another player coming in, but in the end that will just be a force. And Pan's sitting pretty in pocket with 100% Uber. He has dropped a couple of players, but there's no flank for Feila here, so Connector is entirely free for Lightclaw just to sit around there and pick off stragglers if they try and walk across. Joe is trying to force Pan here, like force the issue as it will, walking across, and he drops him. Okay, he just puts a pipe over the point, like one stick, one pipe, and Pan's dead.
Yeah,
one way to get a drop.
You need to expect that when you've got the force. Riverprod getting 2 kills there, Sketis and Pluxer are going down. But you get the force on a medic, you know that people are going to come for your medic. You need to be ready to get into a position where you're not going to get killed or force, and also be ready to get into a position where you can use that Uber effectively.
Yeah, so I'm just a little bit stunned about just like the response of Joe walking across. I was not expecting Joe to be able to just walk across the entire point, like basically uncontested, and just like pipe the medic down with a drop. Like that's just, I think, yeah, that's just poor awareness from Kitty here. Boshi has come in, but Layla has used her dispenser armor. Does take a pipe from Plux. Oh, there we go. No, a pipe. On medic.
Where is Pluxer?
I think.
He jumped in from behind, right?
Okay. Yeah, he went behind, then jumped back. He sort of got juggled onto Shiner, but strangely, him getting juggled meant that his momentum got stalled, and it was actually easier for him to shoot the pipe. So that actually meant
just steadying him up for the aim.
Yeah, and that would actually mean that. I mean, they've got the Uber advantage here, really big ad, but all the territory is currently in the hands of Feila, and they have no fear of this push from main here. Pan is just every time he walks through a doorway, like someone's just on him, spamming and putting pressure on him. It's making it very difficult for Kitty to walk up. They will eventually get there, but again, it's more time on the point, basically for free for the side of Feila eSports.
Yeah, I mean, as it is, technically, Kitty are just ahead by a few seconds, but that's probably going to change here as the Ubers are used. Fuzzy's gone down, so he's not going to be able to get any free snipes while this exchange is going on.
Oh, look at this scatter. Like, no one died in that Uber apart from just, like, the engineer. Like, if you're trading your engineer for an Uber, then I think you have a pretty good game of Koff. And look at that, Carpy and Joe right away. Like, the longer the fight goes on, the stronger the sniper and the heavy get, in my opinion. Just because, like, the sniper's able just to get people in just bad positions at peeking sight lines, and the longer a fight goes on, I think the less aware of sightlines you're going to be, because you're wanting to, like, psychologically getting more desperate for those kills. And Carpy right away does proving like, that theory exactly will just get the pyro. Plux has gone down to Agi as well, so this disad point pressure push here, trying to get a force, is just slowly trickling away, and Boshi's down as well, so no one is really around here to force Layla. She's sitting nice and safe in pocket here, there's no bombers on the field. And GDJ's on the rocket, just trying to get as much damage as he can, force off the point, get some cap time, and just make them use into them. And that's exactly what's going to happen, as Carpy does get headshot there. And during all that, Pan has actually built the Uber advantage back, so we're seeing another sort of a Gully Wash style thing. Pluxer just kills everybody.
Pluxer gets 3 kills there, so much damage. T-Board and Layla and Joe all going down, and then Fuzzkey gets that all-important kill onto middle right at the end there. And it does mean that they're in control now with an Uber advantage and less than a minute left on the clock for them. And that is pretty big.
I think the time's closer than the territory control would imply. Like that, even though Feila are like fairly dominant in the map in terms of territory, they don't have the point time that you'd expect from that. It's actually just almost completely equal here for both teams, as they're pushing into the point with 20% disad. I think Kitty will be happy to give it to them just so they can keep their advantage here. They have lost their sniper Fuzzkey there, but Porter, that's such a big pick at the end, gets middle. But look at the aggression! Pan's completely over, just as Sketches behind house here. And really, that's exactly what you want to do in that situation. You've got like 15 seconds left. Your respawn's going to be in like 7 or 8 seconds. If you can get spam classes down, big classes down, that's going to make the point push really difficult. The Uber has been used onto the point by Kitty walking across, but Layla should get her Uber in time just to defend this. And I think Kitty can get mulched here, CeeJaey.
Yeah, they're just going to get cleaned up. They weren't proactive enough earlier on. And it does mean that that time's going to tick off. There's not enough players. Citrus is the sole respawner. I felt bad for Pluxer there. He was throwing out so much damage onto the point, but the rest of his team were being a bit too passive, and it meant that all of these players were about half HP, walking across the point, including Layla, the medic. And all it needed was another couple of players just to show face and be like, hey, we're here, you have to go through us. That maybe it would have made Feila think twice. And in the end, they just gave the cap for free. And like you said, they tried to repush, but they weren't fast enough. So Feila do take the first round of this second map. And so far in this game, Kitty have not got around on the board. And it's not looking good as Agi takes down Bahan.
Bahan and Medic and Pyro down for the side of Kitty. That is not how you want a mid-fight to start. We saw a cheeky little middle quote coming out there in chat before. Go for someone else at some point, XD. Maybe directed towards the spy of Porter, putting a bit maybe too much focus on the heavy. But maybe it's justified as he just cleans people up at the end. Lightclaw does get 2 frags of his own though, and with the slower respawns of Feila, it's going to make it a bit harder for him to hold this point. There's no engineer holding the flank, no heavy holding the cliff. So a bit of pressure here. Fuzzy is taking Carp is taking a progressive position here, just by this rock, seeing if he can just snipe through Valley here. Looking like they're looking to just jump through Cliff, and Boshi and Pluxa are both in. Layla forced instantly. They're both still behind and alive. Just waiting for this to fade. No one's chasing them just yet. And look at this, this is very dangerous for Layla. Pluxa's putting range tickets onto her. Layla's so weak, she's like 20 health. Just sitting, and Pluxa, was that a roller? Was that a roller, CeeJaey?
Yeah, it was a roller. Pluxa was throwing pipes and dies, and well, he's not dies, but Boshi jumps in and dies. And Layla tries to stand still to avoid the Boshi spam, and then just stands on top of a roller and dies. So advantage towards Pahan, and based on, actually, so many kills there. Water takes down middle again. Yeah.
Okay, what's going on, CeeJaey? This is getting a bit too chaotic. Bit chaotic for my small Highlander brain right now.
I mean, at the moment, Kitty are in a great position. They just need to make sure that, you know, they keep a hand protected. Feila, they need to get a force. You know, they've got decent lead in the time, but they need to get some pressure onto Bahan, make him use that Uber so that Layla's able to leapfrog it afterwards. They do get a kill onto Carpi, actually. T-board him with the reflect kill onto the sentry gun. Don't see that kill icon very often. But again, you see what Feila are doing. They're just pressuring the point. They don't really care. They're saying, hey, if you want to defend this point, you have to use your Uber onto us. And Pluxa, again, is being aggressive and just trying to stop Joe for taking any of this ground for free. But it really is just a turf war, and Feila aren't afraid to just walk forward and take a bullet or two to the face.
And drops again. Sticks.
Joe just the second time.
Yeah. Like Joe's just allowed to walk across this point. Like someone has to deal with him. Like the heavy, the sniper, the scout, the pyro. Someone has to stop this man from walking across the point and eliminating on medic from the server. Like it's so important just to hold that position. Like if you're like normally the play in Highlander is just to force them to use onto the point with the cap time and some of the spam across the point, not just to walk across and drop their medic, but they're just like the Feila just allowed to just walk across and get a drop every time they got disad. And Bahan catches the pipe again. Oh, he's like so weak on Cliff. And Joe's just like slamming pipes. And Bahan again, like he's forced into this corner. He hasn't got a sandwich, he's on the floor on the cliff. He's forced to run all the way out of the fight. There are no heals for Kitty for the next couple of seconds in the fight. And I think Feila are aware of this. They kill people on the flank as well. Just trying to walk forwards, and look at that. Only 3 people left alive. Bahan has to leave right this second. Else going to get killed potentially. He does eventually get out in main. Joe tries to chase. And Dreamy's on China. He's killing the sniper. Look at the aggression from the remaining players is really good here from Feila. They haven't even used their Uber to get that.
Yeah, they just... Oh, hand goes down to Agi.
Please, Kitty, stop these players from getting a medic. Like it's demolishing the game now. Like just for like the entire team. It was so much better in the first round. Like I know there were some like shaky moments with like Pan getting killed, but I feel there's just no protection on in this round at all. And
they're getting extremely aggressive, and there's no repercussions. Like generally in TF2, if you're a demo and you walk forward, you're going to get shot at by a bunch of people. And it doesn't seem like Kitty are actually reacting, showing maybe too much respect to the players. Pluxa is going to jump in, and they're trying to get some pressure onto Layla. They get so much damage. They do get the force. That's something they have been good at in this game, but keeping Bahan has not been, as T-Borden got the reflect kill there onto Pluxa with the reflect pipe.
Joe's in. I don't think the heavy realised how weak Joe was there. He chose not to say it. Like Joe's currently on 12 health. He gets a bow just at the end there. It doesn't eventually get domed by. There's only 5 seconds left for the side of Feila. They're just going to try and just kill these players that are trying to get onto the point. Bahan has got his Uber. Sorry, it's a crits. Laser beam's coming out onto the heavy. And that might just be enough to force Feila out for a little while, but they're re-pushing in force on the point. There's only a tiny bit of cat time left for them, and they just haven't got the spam classes up for the point, and that'll be second round to Feila eSports. So that'll be, because of the new rule, that'll be 4 points so far for them, won't it?
Yeah, at least 4 points, because of course, if it's a 3-2 in a Koth map, the team that loses with the 2 rounds will get 1 point and like a golden cap. But at the moment, it looks like Feila may be taking all 6 points.
Yeah.
They are 1 round away from winning this map outright and winning this entire tie with the full quota of points, which will be their first full-on win of the season. Roboprod goes down as the first casualty of this mid-fight. But again, both teams being very tentative. Fuzzy goes down to Agi, actually dominating him, and Pahan goes down to Joe again. He's allowed to walk across the point. Boshi jumps in. Joe does go down, but again, he is just trading his life over and over again for the medic. And then everyone else on Feila is just buffed and finishes off the team.
Yeah, like you've basically got like half like 50% more health than the other team. And Lilypad's actually just going in, just walking into cliff. We'll eventually back off, but yeah, like as you said, there's no downside to them getting aggressive here. Feila, like they're not being punished for walking forwards. Like Joe right now is top scorer on the server by quite a mile. And I think like ArchRhythm as well. Like I don't know how many of those kills are stabs, but he's certainly been popping off so far. There's another stab for him onto Fuzzkey. Like the players walking forwards here, they're actually, I think this is, like they just jumped into Layla here. I think this play has got Porter gets Ubered.
Oh no! You hate to see it. You hate to die to the spy that you just flashed.
But okay, everyone is sort of dead on the server now. Like the collapse happens in the end. Yeah, like that's just like there's no one alive. Like look at that respawn wave. Like everyone died just at the same time there. Like the aggression just isn't being punished from the side of Feila. Like the only times that they're actually losing these fights is if there's like a massive misplay from like multiple people. It's just like Feila are complete control of this game because there's no response to the aggression coming out from them, and I think it's letting ArchRhythm get into all sorts of positions with the distractions and just do a bunch of stuff. Like demos have been traded on both teams, so there's less spam onto the point. Robopod gets launched to I think Jupiter there actually. Will jump onto concrete. They're trying to do what he can to stay alive, but.
But just take a look at the difference right now. Like Kitty have 4 picks, and they're scared to look forward.
Yeah, they're just like it's just middle and the pyro like behind the point there, and they took like a solid like 6 or 7 seconds to realise that there's no spam on the point. There's like only line of sight classes like that can contest us here. We can just get on the point. I think maybe it's just showing the difference between the coordination of these two teams.
Yeah, Feila are getting forward at every opportunity. They're not afraid to just W into them and trade, which is, I'm sure Joe's death has been quite high on this game in comparison to what you'd expect from a demo, but he is trading with their demo or their medic over and over again, and the Ubers are actually forced out of Bahan here. Layla is just going to tick over and use hers, and then they're going to chase, and I'm sure they're going to go deep. Bahan surely will get caught out. Dreamy is on the chase. He's dodging but cannot survive. And again, look how far forward Roboprod is. He's basically on their cliff, walking forward, trying to get as much damage out as possible. Actually, Pluxer did take down Layla. So maybe a bit of a consolation prize, but they have no presence on the point. And they just have no... They've got to use these respawns and just W into them.
Yeah, I mean, like, they were 5 down there for like, with no heals, and it was just a scout on the point, and then ArchRhythm's allowed to just walk in and stab him. Like, they are getting presence now, taking on the sniper and the pyro. They are forcing Feila out of the point for now. But I'm just wondering how long this is going to last, CeeJaey, because it feels like, as you said, like Feila taking advantage of every opportunity that comes across, and Kitty just haven't had a response to it for like the best part of an hour now.
Yeah, I feel it's almost like people are too scared of the sniper. You should be getting in a position. Look at Pluxer. He's far forward. He's trying to get some ground down, but no one else is supporting him, so he has to back off. And I think they're throwing a lot of, throwing all their eggs in one basket almost, hoping that Fuzzkey wins the sniper v sniper and then take the fight on from there. But you can't really do that. You need to have other stuff going on. But Fuzzkey does win that sniper v sniper. He's on a 5 kill streak right now, and then some other kills follow through. And now Feila are in a more difficult position, and this is what they should be doing all the time.
Yeah, I mean, like I would have wanted Kitty just to walk forward there, but like they're sitting there heavy on the cliff, and that's not really the best place to be if you're wanting to aggress. I feel like if they know they've got this ad, they should just again do what Feila were doing. They have ad, just walk across the point and use into them. Like that close. Layla does get forced actually. Looks like a much better Uber for the side of Kitty. They've only had to flash twice. Layla gets launched into the air by the pilots of Pluxer. He's so deep though, and the heavy wall cleaning up from cliff. And yeah, like the team just aren't really there to support him in the end, and it's going to be a complete combo wipe for looks of things.
I mean, look where middle is right now.
Layla just gets gunned down by the heavy cliff.
I was just going to say, when Pluxer was far forward there, GDJ and everyone else on his team needed to walk forward and be in that similar position. When Feila moved forward, Middle takes himself off of the cliff and walks over the point. And that's what is the issue for Kitty, is that when they're walking forward and trying to be aggressive, they don't have enough firepower to get all of the kills that they need. When Feila do it, they throw all of their bodies. They're going together as a unit, and they're taking all the space that they can. And they don't care that 1 or 2 of them die, because they know there's going to be 3 or 4 behind them.
Again, Pluxer alone on the point gets taken down by the combination of the heavy, the demo, and the engineer. He can't do anything about his team supporting him, and right now it's currently just Pahan. He's got the spy on him as well. He might die here. He's so weak. And, you know, really all... Lena actually has gone down. I was going to say that all they had to do was just kill the medic and just, like, basically win. But it's maybe a bit of a last-ditch attempt on this round here for Kitty just to try and get some frags going here. They have used the Uber, but it was a bit disorganized. The only person they had to chase was Lightclaw, and he just wasn't in a position to do it because of the denial from the spam and the pyro. Layla was getting chased through main here. Maybe they can just get her down. I don't think medic is the most important frag right now, because there's no time for either of them to build an Uber charge. I think at this point, Kitty just have to try and regroup in main, push together, and like as you said, walk the heavy across the point with his pyro. Just do something just to counter the defenses of Feila. Because right now, because they haven't got the people forward, they're allowed to just sit, like focus them down one by one, and just basically win each fight. And look at this, they're only just coming in through main of only 5 seconds left. Mill's got his aggressive position on the point. He's doing like all he can just to defend against people that stick a trap himself too, and then that'll be it. Kappas were just killed instantly by the trap, and that'll be a a clean 3-0 for Feila on both maps. 6 points for them.
6 points indeed, their first 6 points of this season, which will actually put them a level on points with Kitty. And Kitty would definitely look back at that game and think, what went wrong? We started off really well in the first, few seconds, in the first few minutes, I should say, of Gully Wash, and then it all kind of went downhill there. I'm sure we'll take a look at the logs for product there, but, we did see a lot of issues. We've said it over and over. There's the ability there on a number of the players. There are some quality players. I have to say that Boshi and Pluxa were getting the forces over and over again. Fuzzy was getting a lot of kills. It's just that when they had Uber advantage and they were trying to be aggressive, they didn't, I wanted to see some light color Ubers. I wanted to see them walk across the point and everyone help Pluxa, who was being the most aggressive on his team, but I felt a lot of the time he was furthest forward, and then he looked over his shoulder and the rest of his team was still hiding behind the point. And the difference between the two teams was that Feila were doing it with everybody, and it didn't matter if they lost their demo and then they lost their pyro or they lost their heavy, it didn't matter if they lost those players, because there were players behind them backing them up and cleaning up the frags, and they were losing their medic. And I imagine the medic deaths are pretty similar, but the difference is when Feila lost their medic, they didn't care. They kept fighting. They kept moving forward.
Yeah, you see every time that Pan died, like the crumble just happened for Kitty. Like there were times where like the Feila were completely medicless and they were still holding the point. Like I'm just thinking back to when like the last round when they were like 4 or 5 players down with no heals, and then Kitty was still just scared walking across the point into them. And again, like I know it's aggression is the name of the game in KOF, but it has to be more than one player just walking forward and doing the damage, because not being funny, this is Prem Highlander. Like if one player is walking forward across the point, he will just get focused down. Like people have got their head screwed on here. Like they know what they're doing. They're in the right positions. Like one demo on his own is quite straightforward to kill most of the time if you got the right position for it. So again, like as you said, the difference between the two teams was just that aggression and coordination.
It's actually really funny, because if you look at the product, I mean, funny is, maybe not the word, but you take a look at the logs, interesting. A lot of the classes are side by side when you rank by kills. The 2 pyros, 9 and 7, the 2 NGs fairly close, 2 soldiers fairly close, 2 spies, snipers, they're all within a few kills of each other, either way. Lightclaw 21, Dreamy 20, Fuzzy 20, Carpi 18, Agi 19, Porter set, they're all very close. It's not like they were horrifically out DM'd. They did get 20 odd more kills, but when you see that, what that tells me, looking at that log picture, is that they were winning fights. It's just that when they had an advantage in a fight, they didn't move forward and get it, see it out. Bahan only dies 2 more times than Layla, but they lose it 3-0.
Yeah.
So it kind of, it's not like they were constantly losing their medic. They were getting med kills. They weren't doing it. And actually, the way that Feila were playing really does remind me of the way that Chess Club used to play around the time where they had Quintosh on demo, where Quintosh was very free and loose with his heals. He would take a buff, he'd go forward, he'd try to get stuff done, but the medic's job was to just heal the heavy. Originally it was, Breakfast Junior. Later on it was the likes of Husky. Just sit back, and when those players had gone forward and done a bunch of work, the heavy would walk across the point, tanking those heals and just clean up everyone. And again, Middle is the one who's near the top of the scoreboard. He's actually top fragging along with Lightclaw and Joe. He only dies 10 times again, and that's not something you usually see on a heavy. It's not something you usually see a heavy being towards the lower end of the death marker.
Yeah, normally if you see a heavy who's got basically no deaths on product, it means he just sat on cliff the entire game. But Middle was he was in there. He was in all of those fights, and because there's no demo to focus him, he's just basically walking on the point, and he's got more health. Basically, he's got more health and more damage. There's nothing to focus him down except for Fuzz, and they can't get the space on him. I mean, Boshi as well, definitely not a bad soldier by any means, but he just didn't have the space. Going 10 to 21 there. Granted, he was forced to because of all the the amount of times he had to force Layla with those jumps. But again, this is an example of how just frags just don't really mean that whole much at this level a lot of the time. It's just how it's how each team coordinates themselves and conducts themselves in the game. And Feila just completely outclassed Kiti tonight.
Feila taking both maps, taking Gully Wash and Product in this week 2 game, putting themselves on the table for the season, up to 6 points. Kiti also in 6 points. STCK were also playing their match tonight. They were up against MMR, and then we do have one more game this week, and the table will start shaping up. Week 3 is essentially the halfway point, so we'll start to get an idea of which teams will be looking to try and get into the playoffs, and which teams will be trying to avoid the relegation when we get to the end of the regular season. Thank you for watching. I've been CeeJaey, joined by extrasolar and ArchRhythm on the production. This was Feila eSports taking it 6-0 against Kiti S Bakenbardami. We'll be back in the future with more Highlander. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.
Hi, old beaver! Away!